Chapter 4. Here comes the gods. These two lovebirds lived for quite some time in a state of euphoric bliss. I've never stated how long they lived in divine harmony within the Garden of Eden. Something to think about. It could have been 1,000,000 years or more that they dwelt undisturbed in this pleasant land. After Adam recognized her as bone of his bone and flesh of his flesh and called her woman, she became his wife. Isn't it amazing that Adam was both her father and her husband? He was her father because he was the origin of her body, but he was also her husband because they were joined together in holy union. Once again, this typifies and represents me. Indeed, I am both your father and your husband. As your father, I am the origin and creator of your existence, but as your husband, I am joined to you in the perfect holy union of spiritual marriage. Let me further clarify. I am your creator and father. This is undeniable. Nevertheless, I seek to be your lover and husband. I've given you the authority and power to accept me as such or to reject me and embrace a demonic god or gods as the one you have decided to be, your father and unmerciful master. Yes, love must have a choice, or it is not love, but a dictatorship. I love you so much that I have joyfully and willfully subjected myself to your scrutiny of who I am, what my purpose is, and what I can do. I lay out bare before you and ask you to choose me, for I have already, and without any reservations, chosen you. You can't enact and engage true love from a defense position. It requires you to be vulnerable and exposed. Are you willing to position your heart in the same place of accessibility as mine? If you are so inclined, then you are obliged to move to this next step. You must choose to be chosen. Decide at this moment who you will forever serve and worship. Again, if you're struggling or undecided on who to select, pick me, pick me. We are now ready to look at insights that I have graciously granted the man concerning the woman. When Adam spoke of this female being of his flesh and bone, this was a revelation of her origin. What Adam called her woman, this revealed her identity. These two crucial factors are not only necessary for a husband and his wife to understand and to intimately know each other, but also for individuals who want to be deeply connected. Where she came from and who she is was revealed to Adam by me. After all, he was asleep when this process was ongoing. Someone's beginnings are something that is unchangeable, unalterable. These things include who their parents are, when and where they were born, and how they grew up. All this comprises their past, but their identity, distinctiveness, keeps evolving until they develop to the fullness, maturity of who I designed them to be, or their destiny. This is why in the word destination, you can perceive the word destiny, which is the end or the maturation of a journey. All these various components need to come together to enable genuine oneness. As I anatomically created men and women to fit together, this epitomizes the art of communication. Communication consists of 3 elements. 1, a sender. 2, a receiver. 3, whatever was sent by the sender must be known or understood by the receiver. If you solely interpret English and I talk to you in Creole, then you won't understand me. I being the sender, spoke Creole. You, being the receiver, heard Creole. Nevertheless, you did not comprehend what I sent. In this instance, the art of communication failed. In like manner, this is why two men, senders of seeds, in the bed cannot experience my foreordained plan of communion. Again, this is also why two women, receivers of seeds in the bed, won't work according to my divine design. A man sends seeds into the woman's body. She receives the seeds. Her body comprehends the seeds. Indeed, this act is the pure art form of communication. Stick to the plan. Trust me, it works if you're willing to work it. Let's return to the man and the woman in the garden. Since the woman was now Adam's wife, I graced him with the privilege of giving her a name. He called her Eve because she was the mother of all humanity. The next phase that Eve would journey into requires that she would become intimate with her husband. When Eve became pregnant, she entered the stage of motherhood. It is these significant interactions between Adam and Eve that give way to phenomenal insights regarding how I constructed woman. It can be termed as the three aspects of womanhood. 1, woman. 2, wife. 3, mother. Calling her woman does not only refer to a chronological adult female, but to a mature individual. It speaks to the fact that she has grown and developed spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. A variety of trials and tests this woman has come through. Some this female has passed, and others she has failed. The key is that my daughter kept trying and fighting and would not give up, even when everything became unbelievably overwhelming. She acknowledges and has embraced who she is, from her gender to her femininity, to her God-given goals and directives. As a mature being, she diligently works on every area of herself, especially her relationships with me and her character. As a daughter of the King of Kings, she understands that if she wants a king amongst men, then my daughter must first be a queen amongst the ladies. This powerful female is not interested in being or acting masculine. She is secure and stable in the way I made her. The daughter of the King of Kings knows better than to embrace the satanic worldly system of beauty and its criteria for acceptance. She is a woman of God and pleased to be so. As a woman of God, she seeks to please me and to be in divine alignment. Being a sophisticated lady prepares and positions her for the holy union of marriage. A covenant relationship with a husband results in her being transformed into a wife. I have already spoken somewhat about this role. The maturity it takes to function as a woman or man requires that it goes to the next dimension to operate as a wife or husband. Neither a wife nor husband can be selfish or self-absorbed. Marriage is an area of perpetual loving, forgiving, giving, understanding, compromising, patience, and sharing of your heart. Entering into motherhood is a true summit of womanhood. She never knew she could love so deeply until the pain of child labor passed and the little one lay helplessly upon her chest. Even though the umbilical cord has been cut, she is still profoundly connected and still performing some of the same functions as when the tube was joined. This attached tissue can continue in an emotional manner. It may manifest with the mother having heightened senses toward her child. She just seems to know without her offspring conveying their feelings or the dilemmas they are facing. The emotional umbilical cord may also give her a strong understanding of her child's future delights and pitfalls along with his or her destiny. As the umbilical cord feeds and removes waste from the baby, the mother continues the same actions after the child has come forth from the womb. She provides milk to the infant and removes the baby's urine and bowel movement by changing his or her diapers. Yes, I have formed this matron through numerous tests and difficulties to be a powerful and impactful entity. Because Adam and Eve were created in my image and after my likeness, they were after my kind. Yes, they were gods. My love, my attention, my affection was upon them. The jealousy, hatred, and rage this caused in Satan and his evil companions were off the spectrum. This callous king and his hideous henchmen went to plotting, planning, and waiting for Satan's opportune time to strike. Dethrone these human gods, take their place, and become the gods of this world. They wanted to execute a massive blow to my heart for throwing them out of heaven. As I told you before, Satan and his gang of corruptors blame me and hold me accountable for their dishonorable discharge from my divine service and heavenly abode. They passionately pursued revenge. In their demented and twisted minds, the moment finally arrived when Eve stood by the forbidden fruit, and Adam was not properly on guard as I instructed him. The devil, with his cunning craftiness, possessed a serpent's form to converse with the woman and test her knowledge of my commandments. This maleficent manipulator's real purpose was to evaluate Eve's loyalties towards me. By the way, the enemy of your soul still comes to analyze your dedication towards me, which is demonstrated through your various revelations, understandings, and practical applications of my word. It furthermore is brought forth through your bulldog tenacity and unyielding desire to be and remain joined to me. I am desiring loyalty without limits. Will you be ready and stand firm when the devious one comes, or will you fall, fail, and serve other gods? Following how I created the woman, the enemy tempted her. When I created the man, there was something missing, a companion, the woman. But when I formed the woman, nothing was missing. Everything was in its rightful position. It is this sense of order that brings her peace and security and limits her frustrations and pains. When people or things are out of their correct place or not in their proper alignment, she seeks to reinstate them to where they actually belong. Performing these things is her way of facilitating and maintaining healthy relationships and causing her and everyone's lives to run smoother. Consequently, she will continue to pursue various systems in her quest for the best that can be obtained. It will include buying better utensils, beautifying adornments, superior recipes, and more proficient organizations that are meant to lead to a more enjoyable and whole lifestyle. Additionally, she will counsel, navigate, and mediate between her family members, friends, and co-workers to ensure their lives run fluently and appropriately. Oh, what a phenomenal and mysterious being my constructed woman is. Although my female creation seeks out and enjoys natural order, nevertheless, she must recognize, acknowledge that the zenith summit is divine order. The strong passion that she possesses for everything and everyone being in their proper place or right position needs to be channeled into pleasing me. Indeed, this is what it was truly made for. This means the woman needs to value my righteousness, which is godly thinking, godly feelings, godly speaking, and godly behavior. My righteousness needs to be her prized possession, because she yearns to be in her proper place and right position in regard to me. In order to accomplish this holy behavior, she must prioritize divine order over natural order and aggressively scout it out. It requires that she joyfully submits her preferences, frustrations, idiosyncrasies, hopes, dreams, and desires to her sovereign lover. My daughter must consult me in all her ways. As she performs these necessities, I will reveal, empower, and direct her steps. Otherwise, if she's not careful, she will become extremely nitpicky and critical. This can lead to friends and loved ones avoiding her because they see her as too harsh and one who cannot relax, have peace, and enjoy life. They perceive her as one who is too hard to please. It is rarely good enough or meets her strict standards. Can't she just allow some things to slide and not be made into such a big deal? Why is there always something or someone wrong, something or someone that needs to be fixed? They look at her as excessively regulating, a controlaholic who must have it her way, or there will be no peace or fun time. Her family, friends, and colleagues may become resentful towards her because she presents herself as a teacher or as an instructor who struggles to admit when she's wrong. Yet she expects those around her to be willing to quickly recognize and move to change their faults, mistakes, and failures. Yes, a man can be this way too. In her eyes, she is just trying to make their lives better, and she's expecting them to know and understand this as an uncontested reality. Therefore, she presupposes that they will cooperate with her. Of course, I must teach her, and she must be willing to learn that she is not fighting against flesh and blood, but against the disorderly demonic spirits and rebellious, hell-raising deities. These are the ones who bring chaos, confusion, and much frustration into her garden environment. I will now continue discussing humanity's betrayal of me. Eve fell prey to the tempter's lies because she believed what he said could enable her to live a greater life through an increased order and fulfillment. Thereby, it would enable her to experience greater pleasure and be more pleasing to Adam. This satanic seducer actually offered her the position she already occupied, a god. It was like selling ice to an Eskimo to build an igloo when she already owned it. Oh, wow. Oh, when you believe the demonic deceiver instead of the eternal lover of your soul. It is true that the ultimate thief comes for the purpose of stealing, killing, and destroying. Why do you listen, obey, and submit your will to this maniacal maniac who only desires to do you excessive harm? Why do you argue, analyze, refuse to follow, and act like you are smarter than the one who possesses complete or unlimited knowledge and understanding? I am all-knowing and desire the absolute best for you because I am omniscient and your creator. I know without a shadow of a doubt what is the highest quality of life for you. I love you so dearly. Why won't you believe and completely depend upon me? Indeed, Eve was deceived, but Adam's eyes were wide open. deliberately transgressed and went against my command. The purpose of my laws is to facilitate our holy relationship and to keep you safe, especially from the wicked one. But if you listen to our enemy, you will believe that the reasons for my commands are to enslave you, stop your fun, and alter you from your true identity. When they both bowed their wills to Satan, they gave him the position of the God of this world. I had gifted them with this seat of authority and power because they were in my image, my likeness, and I loved them so intensely. Yet they yielded this love-given, unique, and powerful role to the deceiver. Now, the corrupted one had legal access to rule and govern their world. His first order of business was to be the doorway used to usher other demonic gods into the earth. Remember, what transforms these devilish spirits into gods is they are worshipped. Their will and desires become executed and carried out by an indivisible entity or various groups of people. When this transpires, the individual or crowds performing the homage begin to be molded into the character and nature of the demon they have chosen to worship. In other words, their thought process becomes rewired to emulate this hideous force. They forsake my holiness, which is the source of all morality and integrity, and embrace demonic immorality and degradation. What follows is the remaking of my image into a deformed and grotesque resemblance of the demon worshipped. Of course, this drastically demotes the person's spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical state from whom I originally designed him or her to be. Once Adam and Eve performed this dastardly deed of unrighteousness, Satan was made the god of this world, even the door for other demonic spirits to enter through. As you can clearly see, the Prince of Darkness shamelessly imitates me. I am the true door and the correct way to enter into the supernatural realm. Anyone who seeks access into the spiritual region without coming through me, I declare they are a thief and a robber. The enemy takes what I have created and established, perverts or twists them for his own evil purposes and sick plans. It is a fact that Satan has invented nothing. The demented one is the ultimate thief. Notice this yellow-bellied snake in the grass did not create his own world or those who would inhabit it, including someone made after his image and after his likeness. Why doesn't he do this? This deceiver doesn't possess autonomy, meaning the authority and the power to achieve these kinds of miraculous acts, especially not done in love. Instead, he steals what I have formed for myself and claims these things as his own. Yes, the perverted one moves with a spirit of entitlement. After all, how dare I think and act like this is my earth and my people, even though I lovingly created it for my divine purpose and my divine plan. How would you feel if you were in my position? In order to assist you in assessing the magnitude of this pain with a deeper understanding, I will now convey to you an allegory or parable. My willingness to share an allegory or a parable proves to you that your Heavenly Father will tell his children stories. Smile. I am the ultimate parent. My allegory. There was a man who passionately loved a woman and sought to completely take care of her, making her absolutely secure and thoroughly loved. In his mind, he envisioned her wholly protected and provided for, so that she would never desire anyone else. She would be completely whole in his love, content and satisfied. This passionate pursuer's name is Jehonathan. In order to accomplish this noble quest, he built a massive mansion with elaborate rooms and protracted hallways. Jehonathan handpicked the materials and effectively used them to build this illustrious, colossal home. He meticulously constructed all the furniture, even every piece of appliances. Every penny of this project came from his pocket, which he joyfully gave. All of this labor of love brought him immense pleasure. It was entirely done for his one and only lover. Jehonathan wanted her to know and experience the same euphoric pleasure he had known throughout this spectacular, love-driven mission. It was with great anticipation of reciprocal affection and unswerving devotion that he unveiled his masterpiece to her. Jehonathan's precious and beloved one's name is Yakira. Jehonathan made sure that he disclosed it to her only after positioning Yakira in the heart of the house. Her eyes were filled with awe and wonder as she surveyed the magnificent works of his hands. The glow of contentment upon her face was unmistakable. Yakira looked back at him, her eyes communicating as if to ask in amazement, "Is all this for me?" Jehonathan understood and gently nodded with a beaming face and twinkling eyes. Yakira was absolutely overwhelmed and submerged in the vastness of his passionate affections. She jumped into Jehonathan's arms and joyfully kissed him all over his face until she had drowned him with an engulfing gratitude and a tsunami of love. Jehonathan gave Yakira a grand tour and explained everything before her. Like a wide-eyed child, she eagerly drank in all he was communicating. Yakira was squeezing his hand so tightly as they walked. Yakira never wanted to let go of Jehonathan. He was basking and bathing in what seemed to be her undying and unmovable love. Yakira was his wife. Jehonathan had effectively won her heart and secured Yakira's love for himself. Jehonathan and Yakira were one. Both of them were content and excited about the future. Children came into their blessed union and further overflowed their lives with joy. Jehonathan and Yakira celebrated the birth of a boy and a girl. His blood-bonded community was truly the apple of his eye. After experiencing a long while of heavenly bliss together, an enemy came into their lives. Jehonathan had forewarned the love of his life concerning this treacherous foe. He had taken Yakira aside before they were married and explained in detail why he was so intensely hated by this adversary. Indeed, this lunatic was jealous of Jehonathan, the place he held, the things he made, and the things he possessed. Yes, simply stated, this was a consumed, petty, juvenile delinquent who wanted to be Jehonathan and take revenge against him. Prior to constructing this colossal home, he had built an even greater and more enormous structure. There, this enemy was a faithful and entrusted servant. Jehonathan had given him an honored and privileged position they had not given to anyone else. Yet this privileged one did not relish and appreciate his prosperous place. Instead, he developed a craving and hunger for the office and post of the one who had overwhelmed him with honor and love. This cockroach of a being led the charge of anarchy, along with many others of his ungrateful servants, against their king. Yes, he was, is, and will always be an exceedingly great king, the King of Kings. The ultimate master architect and the ultimate master builder. The greedy one coveted his kingship and his adoration that came with it. As far as he was concerned, this all rightfully belonged to him, and he would stop at nothing to obtain it. Now, he had stealthily come into this monarch's recent estate. One day, this potentate was searching and calling for his bride. Jehonathan discovered Yakira coming out of their master bedroom, but her countenance was distorted. He could clearly see there was no longer the flow of love and contentment she had settled into having towards him. As Jehonathan raced in Yakira's direction, his every heartbeat spoke of love and concern for her. "What is wrong, my love?" Before he could complete his question, out cockily strolled the king's adversary. He is called Natas. This arrogant fool had his arms around this patriarch's children as if they were his offspring now. As this father earnestly searched and stared into the faces of his son and daughter, solely concerned for their safety, Jehonathan saw their distance from him and their contempt for him. Turning his intense gaze toward his wife, the love of his life's demeanor expressed disapproval, loss of attraction, and affection. Yakira turned from her husband and passionately kissed the lips of his disgusting and repulsive foe. The great king faced his enemy, and in his entire face was a sinister satisfaction that he had finally won. Everyone and everything that rightfully belonged to this ultimate master architect and ultimate master builder was now possessed by this claim jumper. For you see, in Jehonathan's passionate, undying love for Yakira, he had given her the ownership of the gigantic home that he had designed, constructed, and paid for, which he placed her to live. In turn, Yakira willingly released this one-of-a-kind gift to her new lover, Natas. She also gave legal custody of her children and her lineage to this thief. Yes, this sworn enemy was now their father too. This deceiver had told the ruler's wife and his children that he had lied to them. Her husband and their father did not actually love them because Jehonathan was withholding valuable things from them. They deliberately chose to ignore the undeniable character and the marvelous works this faithful husband and doting father had accomplished. Yes, they willingly decided to believe and embrace Natas, this wicked one. In turn, the apple of Jehonathan's eye, who was his blood-bonded community, forsook their noble one for this embodied swine. So, I ask you, how would you feel if you were in the position of this lover and progenitor? What would you do? Before you ponder and answer these questions, I will share with you my interpretation of my parable for the purpose of granting you greater clarity, thereby offering you a pathway to a proper understanding.